Welcome to the third class in our week 1 body tour with me, Paul Fox, and Sangha's Director of Nutrition, Chloe Wills. This class is called Hip Hooray, so no prizes for guessing that we're going to be focusing on the hip joint today. And this is another joint that gets really stiff from a lot of sitting around. So I'm going to get Chloe to start by sitting down on her mat. And it's usually best to sit on a yoga block. It really depends on how stiff your hips are to start with. So you want to feel that your knees are not higher than your hips when you're sitting cross-legged. And then if you're okay to close your eyes, and if you'd rather keep your eyes open, just have your eyes forward and downcast as we take our usual moment or two just to tune into the body, to notice exactly how we're feeling before we start our practice. Bringing into our awareness any conditions or aches and pains, how we're feeling today, our energy levels. And then tuning into our breath. And as usual, trying to do all our breathing in and out through the nose unless the nose is blocked. So as you steady and deepen and slow your breath, you'll already begin to feel that you're moving yourself into that yogic space where you're feeling a little bit more grounded and centered and present. And this is really the essence of what everybody is calling mindfulness. So we'll begin now with our first hip opener. So I'm going to ask Chloe to lie on her back with her knees in over the chest. And we're going to take one hand on the top of each knee, and we've done this one before. We're going to circle the knees wide apart, a bit like that breaststroke swimming action, and just get this initial feeling of how our hips are today. Now some of you will have quite open hips, some of you will have quite stiff hips, and it's a bit of a mixture of genetics and what you do with your body. But certainly, unless you've got a condition like arthritis in the hip joint, which might even make this simple movement uncomfortable, unless there's something wrong with your joint, there's always loads of opportunity to increase range of movement in the hips. So just as Chloe's doing, we're keeping the movement nice and slow and trying to make these circles just a little bit wider with each rotation. And then taking the knees around in the opposite direction. And this is a very good and effective practice, but it's also just a moment to check in and really notice what you feel in your hips and kind of make an assessment. Are my hips stiff? Are they a bit uncomfortable? Or is the movement quite easy and flowing and free? And then by the end of this short class, hopefully we will have made a real difference to how you feel in your hips. So next time the knees come together, we're just going to take the feet down onto the mat and keep the feet flat on the floor about hip width apart and rest the arms beside the body. And then on the next inhale, I'm going to ask Chloe to take the arms all the way overhead as she breathes in and bring the arms all the way back as she breathes out. So as you do that in your own practice, try to have a real feeling that the breath is leading the movement of the arms. So there's no jerkiness, there's no stiffness in the arms. The arms are actually quite relaxed because we're mainly freeing up the shoulders as we do this movement. And if you've got a lot of tightness in the shoulders, you might not get the hands all the way back on the floor behind you. That's absolutely fine. And then the next time your arms go overhead, you're going to bring the right knee in over the chest and stretch the right leg up into the air at the same time as the arms go overhead. And then as you bring the arms back, take that leg down and then take the other leg up into the air, the left leg, as the arms go overhead. And we'll do that a couple more times, so saying hello to those hamstrings that we were working on in the previous class. And then just for those who are a little bit more able, who have slightly stronger core and no problems in the lower back, have a go on your next one at bringing both knees in. So both knees come in over the chest as the arms go overhead, and both legs stretch up to the ceiling. And try to lower those feet back down to the mat with control, and you'll feel your core muscles engaging, particularly the last 6 inches or so when your feet are nearly back on the mat. And as you lower the legs, you don't want to feel your lower back being pulled or arching away from the floor, so you might need to consciously just draw in the tummy muscles a bit as you do that. Lovely, and we'll just do one more of those. And at the end of this exhale, once the feet have touched the floor, slide both legs straight, take both arms overhead and have a long stretch. And keep breathing as you stretch. We're going to do this for 3 breaths, trying to make the body as long as possible and feel as if you are engaging as many muscles of the body as you can as you stretch. In this position, you'll probably feel your lower ribs lifting, so we're doing a bit of back bend here, and we're also creating lots of space to breathe, so nice, deep, even breaths. And of course, we're lengthening our spine in this position as well. Fabulous. And then on the next inhale, take the arms up into the air, and then exhale, hug the knees in over the chest and take a little rock from side to side, rolling the head the opposite way to the knees. And then we're going to do a little practice that I love, but it's not for everybody. So if you have a sensitive back or not much padding on your back between you and the bony processes of your spine, so we're going to keep the knees hugged in, and we're going to rock forwards and backwards until we come to sitting up. So around about 3 rocks. So as you rock up and then back to the shoulders, just as Chloe's doing, that's perfect. So if this is comfortable, it's actually a lot of fun and it's really good at massaging the spine. So in this position, we're going to try to bring the soles of the feet together. And this is another seated posture where some of you will need the help of a little bit of support under the hips. And that could be 1, 2, I've even known 3 yoga blocks if you have a lot of stiffness in the hips. And the reason for that is that you want to still be able to sit upright with your spine once you've got the soles of the feet together. So if you're finding it difficult to sit upright with the soles of the feet together and the knees are very high, just raise the hips a little bit further. And then holding onto the feet, as you breathe in, you're just going to lift the knees up a little bit towards the shoulders, and as you breathe out, you're going to let them lower down under their own weight in gravity. So this movement of knees lifting on inhale, lowering on exhale is called the butterfly. So our legs are making a kind of butterfly shape. And this is a great hip opener. The weight of the legs and gravity is really helping you to open the hips. But we can do more. We can do a really clever thing now, which is to slightly trick the body in a safe way to give us a little bit more hip opening. So what I'd like you to do is place the flat of your palms on the top of your knees and create a brace with the arms. And then for the next 3 or 4 breaths, try to lift the knees, but don't actually let them lift because the hands are going to push down and stop the knees lifting. And what that does, you can't really see it because nothing's moving, but what Chloe is feeling in her body is that all the muscles of her inner thigh and going deep into the hip are tensing and trying to lift the knees. The arms are bracing it. So it's actually the muscles that we want to lengthen that are currently being asked to contract. And then on the next exhale, Chloe's going to relax that pressure, and she should find that her knees will drop away down to the floor a little bit further. It's only going to be 0.5 centimetre or 1 centimetre at a time. We're going to do that 2 more times because it's so effective. So creating the brace with the hands, beginning to lift the knees, moderate pressure is all you need to do, and still breathing steadily. And actually there are other benefits which you might feel. You can feel your core engaging as you do this, a little bit of lift in the pelvic floor. So we're toning other muscles as well as opening the hips. And then exhale, relax the knees down. And one more time, creating the brace, lifting the knees. So each time we do this, we're kind of resetting our hip opening at a slightly more open position. And although they might stiffen up again later and you might not notice a lot of difference, if we did this repeatedly over several weeks, it would make a real big difference to the amount of hip opening. And relax the knees down. And hopefully, like Chloe, you can feel that your hips have opened a little bit more from that practice. That's lovely. And now we're going to move on to the cat. So I'm going to get Chloe to come onto all fours and use a blanket under her knees for some padding. And we're going to mobilize the spine. So every single time we do a class where we have a focus like the hamstrings or today the hips, we still need to move everything else in the body. Otherwise it's going to feel really, really odd. So same as before, knees are under the pelvis, hands slightly in front of the shoulders, and then breathing in, coming into a back bend, lifting the head slightly, tilting the pelvis, and breathing out, tucking the tailbone under and arching up. Just going to do 3 of these cats. So here comes the second one. Just get the whole of the spine moving. Very nice. And at the end of the third cat, inhaling, coming back to a flat back, tucking the toes under, and then exhale, pushing the head down, hips up, coming into downward dog, starting with the knees slightly soft, making that spine long, freeing the shoulders slightly, rotating the shoulders outwards, and then walking the dog, exhaling, right heel towards the mat. Inhale, soften, exhale, lengthen the left heel towards the mat. So just adding in a little bit of leg stretch to our downward dog. And remember, if you're not taking the head below the heart for any reason, you could hold the back of the chair here, or you could do this with the knees on the mat. And then we're going to walk the feet in behind the wrists and come up to standing. And then turning to face the long edge of the mat, we're going to do our standing hip opening poses. So starting with the feet hip width apart or just slightly wider, and doing a couple of big arm sweeps. So breathing in, rolling the shoulders out, turning the palms out, sweeping the arms up overhead, bringing the hands down the center of the chest. This time as we sweep up, lifting the heels. Exhale and down, and inhale, lifting the toes as the arms go up, and exhale down. So just picking up some of the practice we did the other day, which helps to awaken the feet. And now Chloe's going to take her feet a little bit wider, and it's very individual how wide you go. So classically we talk about a triangle shape with the arms. So the measurement of your inside leg would be the distance apart between the feet. So Chloe can probably go a little bit wider, but what she will be doing and what you should do is just keep going until you feel the stretch up the inside of the legs. And yet the inner arches of your feet haven't collapsed. That's looking absolutely perfect. And then keeping the hands on the hips, but the lower part of the hips, so really the junction between the top of the thigh and the hip. And at that position, feel as if you are now rotating both thighs outwards. And you can get a really powerful sense of hip opening simply from being in this position. Inner thighs are stretching and the whole of the legs are spiraling outwards. And that will take a little bit of weight to the outside of the feet and help to keep those inner arches of the feet lifted as well. Fabulous. And this work in the legs is exactly what we need to do when we do the postures, Trikonasana, triangle pose, and Parsvakonasana, side angle pose, which are our two main hip openers. So I'm going to get Chloe to keep her left leg exactly where it is and just turn the right leg and right foot out about 80 degrees. And she's just going to soften that right knee for a moment, and then she's going to take the right arm, stretch it away at shoulder height, pointing towards that right foot and looking along there, and then feel as if somebody is grabbing her wrist and pulling her over, so keeping the right side of the body long as she reaches over and over, and then begins to take the hand down towards the leg, and anywhere on the lower leg is going to be absolutely fine. And once the hand is on the leg, straightening that right leg if you can. That depends a little bit on your hamstrings. Keep that left hip drawing back, and the left hand, the back of the left hand can tuck onto the lower back, and just wriggle the shoulders there. And if it feels okay in your shoulder, you can extend that left arm up towards the ceiling, palm facing inwards, and as Chloe is doing, you could turn your head and look up towards that left hand. So here we have perfect Trikonasana. You're doing a lot in the body here, a lot of great muscle work, shoulder work, core work, but the main event for us is that hip opening in the right hip. So don't let that left hip turn in, keep it drawing back. Lovely, fantastic. And then looking down, softening the right knee, pushing up, coming back up to standing, hands back on hips, turn the right foot in. Just check in with yourself, all should be well. And then turning out the left foot and the left leg, keeping the right hip where it is, keeping that action in the right leg to anchor that right hip. Take the left arm up, reach out, stretch out, and then taking the hand down towards the lower left leg. Very nice. And tucking the back of the right hand this time on the lower back, drawing the right shoulder back, drawing the right hip back, and then if it feels okay, taking the right arm up into the air, palm facing inwards, turning the head to look up, and breathe. Keep your breath steady, keep everything working through the legs, through the core, stretching from fingertip to fingertip through the shoulders so the shoulders feel free and open, and of course noticing and enjoying that opening sensation in the left hip. Very good. Looking down, release the high arm, soften the left knee, inhale, come up, and come back to center, turn the left foot in, and we'll just heel and toe or step the legs together, give the legs a little shake, and notice what you're feeling in the hips. So we're going to do one more, which is a slightly stronger, in my opinion, hip opener. So step your feet apart, but you're going to be lunging one of the legs, so you can go a little bit wider in this one than you were for triangle pose. Anchor the left hip by spiraling the left leg down to the left foot, and then turn out the right leg and right foot about 80 degrees, but this time let the right knee lunge. And you just want to make sure that that right knee and the toes are both going in the same direction. You've got a nice integrity of movement through that joint. A little bit easier with the hand position. We're just going to rest that right forearm on the right thigh as we lean over to the right. And then we're going to roll the left shoulder open and take the left arm up into the air like we did for Trikonasana, but then extend it over the left ear so it becomes a long line all the way down the left side of the body. That's it, absolutely perfect. Holding it there. You don't need to look up to that hand, that will throw the neck too far back. So now feel that stretch from the outside of the left foot to the fingertips of the left hand. Very, very good. Keep drawing that left hip back, and in this lunge position you'll access even more hip opening into that right hip. On the next exhale, just let that left arm drop down in front of the chest and then take it back up. So we're going to do sort of big circular movements with that left arm. Inhaling up to the stretch, just pause for a moment, and then exhale, drop the arm down the front of the body, and once more. If you're into cricket, it's like a bowler's action. So this adds a little bit of additional shoulder movement and also stops us having that stagnant feeling of the pose being too still. Very nice. And then on the next exhale, release that arm down, straighten the right leg, turn the feet in, and we'll go straight onto the left side. So turning out the left leg, letting the left knee bend, taking the left forearm onto the left thigh, keeping the right hip back, and then when you're ready, taking the right arm up this time, and then over and creating that long line of stretch. It's an active stretch. Keep reaching through the fingertips, and then connect those fingertips all the way down the sides of the body, the side of the hip, the side of the right leg, down to the outside edge of the right foot. And keep drawing the right hip back and tucking the left hip under to get that maximum hip opening in the left side. And then breathing out, dropping that left arm down in front and doing 3 big circles with the breath, opening the right shoulder and moving dynamically in and out of side angle pose, Parsvakonasana. And at the end of that third circle, dropping the hand down, pushing into the left foot, coming up, turning the feet in, heel and toe, or step the feet together and give the legs a little shake. And we just need to finish that work by doing an easy forward bend. So bending the knees and just folding over the thighs. And you can keep the knees bent, or you can let the legs straighten and let the arms hang, and just take as deep a forward bend as feels good for you. Very nice. And then from there we're going to come back down onto the mat, lying on the mat, and we're going to bring those knees in and just do 2 or 3 more circles holding the kneecaps, and just compare what we feel as we do these circles compared with what we felt at the beginning of this Hip Hooray class. And hopefully you can feel the work you've done in your hips already showing in a slightly easier and bigger range of movement. And then next time the knees come together, take the feet down, slide the legs straight towards the corners of the mat, take the arms a little way away from the body, palms facing upwards, as we do our very short relaxation, which of course you may wish to extend at home. So taking your awareness to the right leg and breathing in, tensing the right leg, and breathing out, relax. Focus on the left leg, breathing in, tensing the left leg, and exhale, relax. Breathing in, tensing the right arm, exhale, relax. And breathing in, tensing the left arm, and exhale, relax. Breathing in, squeezing and tightening the muscles of the face, and exhale, relax. Allow your body to be still and comfortable, allow your breath to be steady, and take these few moments of complete relaxation. And now deepen your breath, move your fingers, wriggle the toes, stretch into your arms and legs in any way that feels good. And when you're ready, bend your knees, roll onto your right side, and then coming back up to sitting. Thanks very much for joining us for this class. Have a great rest of your day and see you next time. Bye.